Hi everyone, it's Rhonda and welcome to a brand new video. Today I am taking you guys along with me as I go book shopping, and then later in the video we are doing a little book haul. This book shopping video is going to be a little bit different because I'm not going to my usual places. I'm not going to Barnes, I'm not going to Target, I'm not going to Half Price Books or any of those places. Instead, we are going to Dollar Tree. So some of you guys may know this, but in case you don't, Dollar Tree carries books and they've been carrying books for years. I used to get some of my historical romances from Dollar Tree many years ago when I used to read those. And I feel like over the last few years, Dollar Tree has really been stepping up their game because I feel like in the past, they mainly carried those historical romances. They carried, obviously, the Bibles. They always carry Bibles. Self-help, self-care type books. Those were kind of the books I would always find at Dollar Tree, and those aren't really books that always interest me. But over the last few years, I've been noticing fantasy books and YA books and lit fic and historical fiction, all different types of genres. And I do go to my local Dollar Tree pretty often, like every 2 or 3 months, to get certain things. Like I like to get my toothpaste from there and my toothbrushes and things around the home I do get from Dollar Tree just to save some extra money. But I've been keeping an eye on my Dollar Tree, and my local one is actually brand new. It's only been around for a few months, and they do carry books, but I don't feel like they have a lot. And so I thought it would be fun to kind of hit up a few different Dollar Trees to see if it's different at each Dollar Tree. So the one near me, like I said, it's only been open for a few months. So we're gonna go to that one first, and then around the corner, I mean, like less than a mile away, there is another one that's been open for about a year. Why they opened up 2 new Dollar Trees right near each other, I'll never know. And then after those 2 Dollar Trees, we're going to a third Dollar Tree just 5 miles down the road. It's the one I used to always go to before they built the new ones. And that one usually has a lot more books. There's usually a big assortment of books to pick from. So that's what we're doing today. We're going to 3 Dollar Trees. So how this video is going to work is we are going to each location, and then after I visit that specific Dollar Tree, we'll be back here at the house and I will kind of tell you about what I saw, and if I bought any books, I will haul them from that store right then and there. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to my closest Dollar Tree first, and I will meet you there. Okay, we are back. I am actually home for good. I've gone to all 3 Dollar Trees, but like I told you earlier, I'm gonna do this video where I go to the first location and then I show you the haul here, and then we go to the next location and then I'll cut back here and do the second haul. So that's how we're going to do it, but I'm all done and I cannot wait to share these books with you. I think I found some good ones. But I forgot to tell you that the point of me doing this video too is I am trying to find books that I have not heard of. I have not heard other booktubers or bookstagrammers talk about these books. I'm trying to find those hidden gems because I feel like I love watching booktube. Usually when I'm working, I have other booktubers channels on. I'm watching their content, and I feel like we are constantly reading the same books. I really want to read other books. I want to read books that an author I've never heard of. I want to read a book I've never heard about. So the point of going to Dollar Tree too is to try and find some hidden gems and to find books I have not heard of. And I think I did that today. But at the first location, this is actually the Dollar Tree that's closest to my house. And this is the one that I do go to pretty often. It's brand new. It's only been open for 6 months. So it's very organized. Everything is tidy. Usually when I go to Dollar Trees, things are just shoved wherever they can find a spot, and it's kind of like a hunt and gather situation where you need to really pick through stuff to find what you're looking for, and that's not the case at this one. So I do love going there. Now, I went to this location with low expectations, because when I do go to Dollar Tree and I look at the books, with this location, there's usually not a huge assortment of books. They might have a few, but there's just really not much to pick through, with the exception of today, because they had quite a few books that looked really interesting, and I did manage to pick out 3. And in case you don't know, everything at Dollar Tree is $1.25, with the exception of a few things like food products in the frozen section. Sometimes those things cost more than $1.25. There's also an entire aisle that is priced at $3, $5, and $10. And then also the books are priced at $1.50. So each book, it doesn't matter if it's hardback or paperback, it's going to be $1.50. Oh, and that is what I spent. I bought 3 books at $1.50 each, which means I spent $4.87 with tax, which is a steal. I think I did really, really good. But let me talk about the 3 books that I did find. And the first one is Meet the Benedettos by Katie Cotugno. And I haven't heard about this book, but the little blurb on the back reads, an A-list movie star moves to Los Angeles next door to a family of 5 eligible sisters in this irresistible novel where the Kardashians meets Pride and Prejudice. And then there's also a quote up top from a reviewer. It says, it is a funny, flashy, heartfelt story of self-discovery, a champagne-soaked romance, and a family drama all in one. The characters are so vivid, I forgot they weren't real. Did somebody make this book into a movie, please? Well, that's fighting words right there. So this sounds like it's going to be really good. Sounds like this is going to be a little bit of a general fiction, women's fiction, with probably a side plot of a romance and family drama. And I love those type of books. And just looking at the cover with a swimming pool and people hanging out by the pool, this looks like it's going to be a good summer book. And it's pretty short. It looks like it's under 300 pages. Yeah, it's at 243 pages. So I'm glad to add this one to my TBR, and hopefully it'll be really, really good. Now, going to the opposite season, I did find a holiday romance to add to my little holiday TBR, and that is The Christmas Wager by Holly Cassidy. And this is a book about, I believe this woman, she works for a real estate development, and she's coming to this small town because she wants to take over this fledgling Christmas shop. And the man who owns it, his grandson, does not want her to buy the shop from them and turn it into I don't know what. So this is going to be a little bit of enemies to lovers, but there's a little 1-sentence blurb. It says, first rule of Maple Falls holiday games, don't fall in love with the enemy. So like I said, this is going to be a good one to add to my holiday TBR. And I do really enjoy holiday romances. I read a ton last year, and one of my favorite tropes in any romance novel is enemies to lovers. I think they're so fun. The banter is usually pretty good, and I hope that's the case with this one. And then finally, something completely different is a World War II historical fiction, and I love those. This one is The Porcelain Maker by Sarah Freethy. And I have never heard of this book or this author, but the blurb on the flap reads, an epic story of love, betrayal, and art that spans decades through the horror of World War II to 21st century America, inspired by an actual porcelain factory at Dachau. I think that's how you pronounce it. So it's about 2 lovers caught at the crossroads of history, a daughter's search for the truth. Marie Benedict did a blurb. She said, in her exquisitely crafted and poignant debut, Sarah Freethy brings readers an unforgettable tale of love and loss. It was phenomenal. Okay, so I love a good historical fiction, specifically if it's set during World War II. And this is going to be a good one to add to my historical fiction TBR. So sounds good. Okay, so with these 3 books, like I said, I only spent $4.87, and none of these books I've ever heard about, never heard of the authors, and that is what I was looking for. Something I know about Dollar Tree is when I remember to look at the books, I never really see more mainstream authors. It's usually more obscure authors and books I haven't heard of. Actually, occasionally I do see, you know, a book I recognize, but you're not going to find your Riley Sagers or your Ruth Wares or Abby Jimenez or Emily. You're not going to find those authors usually. If you do, let me know. I'd love to know where you live so I can go pick through your Dollar Tree books, but at my Dollar Trees, that's not usually the case. Okay, let's head to Dollar Tree location number 2. This one is actually very, very close to the first location. It's literally around the corner. But this second location, that one opened a year ago. And it's not my favorite, but we're gonna go check it out and see what they have. Okay, so with this second location, it did seem like they had more space for books, but it looked like it was pretty much picked over. They did have quite a few, if I remember correctly, they did have quite a few middle grade books and just younger reader books. But I did still manage to find 4 books that I wanted to read, and they sound really, really good. There is actually one book that I have heard about and I recognize, and I decided to go ahead and get it because it's something out of my comfort zone, and I am much more willing to spend $1.50 to read it than full price. So let's go ahead and talk about these books first. Because I bought 4 books, I spent a total of $6.50 with tax. So not too bad. The first book in this haul that I want to talk about is The Second Chance Hotel by Sierra Godfrey. Again, I never heard about this book, but sounds cute. It's about a woman who, she's from San Francisco and something happens back home, and so she's traveling for a few months and she lands in Greece at this hotel. And somehow, some way, she ends up accidentally getting married to another guest at this hotel, and they are gifted the hotel, which is bonkers. I'm not sure how that happens, but when I read it, I will find out. But this hotel actually needs a little TLC, so it sounds like this couple is renovating this hotel. They're getting to know each other. I guess they're falling for each other. And it just says that in regards to going back home, it says, "It is time for Amelia to return home, or could this be the second chance of a new life she doesn't know she wanted?" And the blurb reads, "It's all fun and games until you accidentally marry a stranger in Greece and inherit a hotel." So this one definitely sounds like it's going to be more of a general fiction or women's fiction with a side plot of a romance. And I love that it's set in Greece, which means this is probably going to be another book that's going to be perfect for the summertime. And then in that same genre, I found 1 Month of You by Suzanne Ewart. And this is about a woman who is the caretaker for her mother who has a disease called Huntington's disease. I never really heard about it, but I did a quick search and it sounds like it's a brain disease that affects your mobility and your mental health. And anyway, she has just found out that she has inherited this disease from her mother. And so she's kind of put up walls. She doesn't want to get married. She doesn't want to get in a relationship because she knows kind of what her future is going to be, and she doesn't want to put her partner in that situation of taking care of her. That is until she meets this guy named Alec, and he is trying to break down her walls. When I was at Dollar Tree, I did kind of read a few reviews on this one, and someone said that this is being marketed as a romance, and it really, really is not. It's definitely more of a women's fiction with a subplot of a romance. So I'm going to go into this one expecting to have more of a women's fiction feel to it. It sounds like this is definitely going to be an emotional read. It's going to tug at those heartstrings. I'm probably going to cry, but I'm glad I found this one because it sounds like it's going to be a really interesting read. The third book I found is a mystery thriller called The Guest House by Robin Morgan Bentley. And this one is about a couple. The wife is pregnant and they're going on their last vacation before the baby is born. And they end up at this remote country guest house. And the older couple that owns it are very kind and sweet. And so this young couple goes to bed and they wake up the next day and the house is completely empty. All the doors are locked and their cell phones and car keys have disappeared. And so I guess through this book, they're going to be trying to figure out what's going on, what happened. The last paragraph says, even though it's a few weeks before the baby's due date, Victoria feels the contractions starting. The baby is coming and there's no way out. That sounds like a nightmare. So I definitely want to read this. I don't know if this is set in the winter. It kind of is giving me moody fall or winter vibes. So this sounds really, really good. Can't wait to read it. And then the last book I found is actually a book I have seen before and I've kind of heard a little bit about. It is a literary fiction book, which I don't read a ton of them because I think they're a little slow and boring. But sometimes if I connect with the main characters, I'm locked in and I end up loving them. But the book I'm talking about that I found is The Half Moon by Mary Beth Keane. So this may look familiar to some of you, and it looks like they got it from Target. It is a masterful novel about a couple in a small town who must navigate the complexities of marriage, family, and longing. And then the last paragraph reads, when Malcolm learns shocking news about Jess, a patron of the bar, goes missing, and a blizzard hits this town of Gillum, trapping everyone in place. With a deft eye and generous spirit, Keane explores the disappointments and unexpected consolations of midlife, the many forms forgiveness can take, the complicated intimacy of small town living, and what it means to be a family. So after reading that, yeah, it's just a straight up lit fic. And I do want to give this a chance because, like I said, it's one I've heard about before, and it's also one that's kind of out of my comfort zone. Like I said, I don't read a ton of lit fic, and I would like to try and read more because, you know, again, when I'm really invested into a character or if I feel like that character is relatable, I do tend to enjoy those type of books more. So that is The Half Moon. So these are the 4 books that I picked up at that second location, and let's go ahead to the third and final Dollar Tree now. Tree is a location that I used to go to before those first 2 Dollar Trees opened. It's been around for years. There is stuff everywhere. It's so overwhelming to shop there, but they do have more of a selection when it comes to books. There's so many more books, so much more space to hold books. I think there were 4 or 5 shelves of books and they were packed in. And comparing the 3 stores, I feel like for the most part, they did have the same books. In fact, with this third location, when I was done kind of thumbing through the books, I turned around to leave and there was an employee behind me with a box full of books that she was going to add to the shelves. So while she was organizing the shelves and kind of tidying up a little bit to add more books, she let me kind of go through that box and see if there was anything that I wanted. But I did feel like for the most part they did have kind of the same books. I did see some books there that the other two locations didn't have, but for the most part it was the same. But I did end up coming home with 2 books, and I spent a total of $3.25, and I'll add all of this up at the end and do a final saving. So stick around until the end if you're curious about how much money I saved with the books I purchased. But the first book I got is Jane and Edward by Melody Edwards. And this is supposed to be a reimagining of Jane Eyre, and apparently it's set in a modern day law firm, and it's full of romance and hope as it follows the echoing heartbeats of the classic story of Jane Eyre. And apparently our female main character, Jane, has grown up in the system. She is a former foster kid, and she becomes a legal secretary or a legal assistant, and she gets a job working for Edward. And it says, Edward has never been able to keep an assistant. He's too loud, too messy, too ill-tempered. There's something about the quiet, competent, delightfully sharp-witted Jane that intrigues him, though. As their orbits overlap, their feelings begin to develop. First comes fondness, then comes something more. But when Edward's secrets put Jane's independence in jeopardy, she must face long-ignored ghosts from her past and decide if opening her heart is a risk worth taking. And Ashley Winstead did do a little quote on here. She says, brimming with heart, characters that stick with you, and smart, timeless insights about life and love. So this one just sounded really cute, and it sounds like it's going to be a romance, and it's probably going to be a romance that has a little bit more depth, which is what I do enjoy. I feel like I have read Jane Eyre before, either in high school or in college, but I could not tell you anything about the story, so I might need to look it up to kind of refresh my memory. But this is the first book I got, and then the second book is a thriller, and it was a straight cover buy because the cover is very interesting, but it's called If I Disappear by Eliza Jane Brazier, or Brazier. It's not Brazier, it's probably Brazier, but the cover is really crazy. But this is a thriller, and apparently this is about a podcaster who goes missing, and one of the listeners goes to try and find out what happened to her. The blurb reads, when her favorite true crime podcast host goes missing, an adrift young woman sets out to investigate and plunges headfirst into the wild backcountry of Northern California and her own dangerous obsessions. So that is that one, and these are the 2 books that I got from the third and last Dollar Tree store that I went to today. Okay, to do a quick recap, I got a total of 9 books from Dollar Tree, and I added everything up, and it looks like I would have spent a total of $185 had I bought these books full price, which the savings is what, $170? That's crazy. So some of you are probably saying, Rhonda, you really didn't save any money because you spent $15 that you would not have ordinarily spent had you not gone to do this video. And I would say you are 110% correct. I would not have spent this money had I not had this idea for the video. But like I said, I am looking for just different books. I'm looking for books I haven't heard of and I haven't heard anyone read and talk about. And so that is what I was looking for, and I found a lot of really interesting and great options. So definitely don't sleep on your local Dollar Tree when it comes to anything, especially books. But that is all I have for you today. These are the 9 books I got. In the comments, please let me know if you have read any of these books. If you've heard about any of these books, I'm very curious about them. Let me know if there's any books in the video that I shot that I kind of passed up and didn't get that you may have read that you would recommend. Definitely let me know, and I might go back and get them for $1.50. Why not? But also too, if any of these books sound very interesting to you, don't go to Amazon, don't go to Barnes, just go to your local Dollar Tree and see if maybe they have it and you can get your copy from there for $1.50 as well. The day that I'm filming this is October 8th, and this is going live next week, I think either next Monday or Thursday. So you should still have time to go pick through Dollar Tree and see if you find any of these books at your local one. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.